We're Emily and John, and it's been 3 years since we sold our home and everything we own to buy an abandoned caravan park.
Our dream was simple. We wanted to bring the land back to life, build our own home, reopen the campsite, and do it within our means, completely debt-free.
Year 1 was all about survival and making us start clearing the decades of rubbish that had been left behind.
Year 2 was when we could finally see glimpses of what it might become, and we could see the first signs of life returning, as we started building the foundations of our first tiny home.
And now, 3 years in, it finally feels like our hard work is starting to show. The land is transforming, and we're so close to finally having our first indoor shower and flushing toilet in 3 years.
So here's what the last 12 months of our lives have looked like, here at Camp Out West.
The first thing we tackled in year 3 was finishing the roof on our tiny house build. One thing we should probably mention is we aren't builders. We'd never done anything like this before, but we knew when we bought the land the only way we'd be able to afford it was learning to do as much of the work ourselves as we could, even with being afraid of heights. This job was something we'd been putting off for a very long time, but now we had some dry weather, we needed to get it done. Now the roof was on, before we fitted our wall cladding, we needed to rust-proof the inside of the chassis. As our land only came with planning permission for park homes and residential caravans, we can only build raised off the ground. So we had these residential caravan chassis made, following the BS 3632 caravan building code we have to follow. The chassis was a large cost, so we're making sure to weatherproof it as much as possible to give it the longest lifespan. We used a lanolin-based oil to help protect the steel from rusting in our wet climate, because if you don't know, it rains a lot in Wales.
Next job was starting work cladding the back of the cabin. First we needed to add our cross battening that our cladding would be fixed on top of. This would also be covering the ends of our chassis outrigger openings we'd just filled, so this is why we treated it first before closing them off.
Next we had a very exciting delivery with the arrival of 4 shipping containers. We saw some of them being emptied at a local campsite and asked what they were doing with them, and they said they were being decommissioned and removed to be upgraded, so we asked would they be interested in selling them. They said if we paid to remove them that we could have them for free. We'd love to turn one into a double workshop on the land, one to use as a toilet and shower block for our campsite, and we'd love to turn another into a gym for us, so a lot of potential for future projects and spaces on the land. Next we did some work on the inside of the cabin, as our electricians were booked in to run the cables and do the first fix, so we needed to finish the stud wall and ceiling of the bathroom and get the superfoil insulation finished. We then had my god brother Ben from Matthew Penny Electricals come and run all the cables to do our first fix. Then we had our local chimney fitter Aled come to install our log burner and slate hearth in the cabin. Now our cables had been run, it was time to tackle our ceiling insulation. We used PIR boards with Gapo tape along the edges to give us an airtight fit for maximum performance. We took a little break from the cabin and decided to build our sauna area, especially as it was winter and we were still making do with our outdoor shower. We thought this would be a nice luxury to have and a boost to our morale. We did a gravel base with an oak sleeper surround. We didn't want the sauna to sit directly on the ground, so we used oak sleepers to raise it up. We painted the sauna black to match the cabin. It is made of untreated softwood, so this will help make the wood last a long time too. Sauna done, we then planted 550 hornbeam bare root trees. We chose this variety as they hold their leaves in the winter, and we thought this would give the sauna area some nice privacy for our guests in the future. Then we started cladding the inside of the cabin. We opted for softwood tongue and groove cladding. Ideally the cladding would have been large manufactured pre-primed MDF boards, which would have been faster to install and less painting. But due to building on a chassis, we couldn't take the extra weight, so opted for the lighter individual boards. This had a significant weight saving overall. Aled then came back to fit the flue for our log burner out of the roof. Emilie then started painting on the primer while I continued cladding the rest of the room. We planted our own willow patch. Emilie has recently started basket making, so we wanted to see if we could grow our own willow here that Emilie could weave with in the future. With our land being clay and often wet, our land is perfect for growing all varieties of willow. Next we started assembling a solar array. This array tracks the sun, which we thought would be perfect in our field, getting maximum light throughout the day. Next we started work cladding the front of the cabin. This was a job we'd been putting off as we weren't too sure how we'd go cutting around the windows and make it look good, but it was nowhere near as bad as we'd thought. the end of the cabin with a big window, I decided to clad this with locally milled wood and use a technique called shu sugiban. This is where you burn the wood, which creates a protective weather barrier, prolongs the life of the timber, but it also looks amazing as it creates a deep textured black finish. Next we had a shepherd's hut delivered to the land. We found it for sale in a nearby village on Facebook at a really good price, and we thought it would work great as an office. It worked out so much cheaper to buy this and saved us so much time compared if we'd built it ourselves. We just needed to give it a bit of a refresh with some new paint on the inside and out. As we've been living in a tiny touring caravan for 3 years, living, eating, working and sleeping in a tiny space, we thought having an office on the land would improve our day-to-day life and give us a new space away from our caravan. Next we had our local fencing contractors Craig and Di come to fence the back of our land. This is the third time they've been with us since we moved onto the land. We couldn't afford to get the land all fenced in one go, so we've been doing it in sections year by year and saving up as we go. Afterwards they helped us move our shepherd's hut into its new spot, Legends. When working on the land, one of the things that's helped keep us fueled throughout these endless days of renovations and working on the go is Huel, who are kindly today's video sponsor. If you're new to Huel, they're making an amazing range of complete and balanced meal options. From high protein hot meals, which are our go-to when we're busy on projects, to powders that Em loves for her marathon training, plus ready to drink bottles and bars, all designed to keep you fueled while on the go. We've also been loving their vitamin and super green drinks, which Emilie has as a mid-morning boost. Huel is perfect if, like us, you're living in a renovation without a functioning kitchen. They're quick, easy and require no cooking. Or if you're constantly on the go and don't have time to stop and make a big lunch, they're the ideal grab and go option to keep in your car or bag. They're completely plant-based, nutritionally complete and packed with around 25 grams of protein and 26 essential vitamins and minerals, so they're great for pretty much anyone. So if you're looking for some quick and stress-free meals, head to the link in our description where you can get £10 off your first order over £60 with our code CAMPOUT10. Thank you again to Huel for sponsoring today's video. Next we carried on finishing the cladding and painting of the cabin. We totally underestimated just how long working with individual cladding boards would take, with layers of primer, filler, sanding and top coat paint, but it really saved us on the weight limit for the chassis and it does look great. Cladding done, it was time to start work laying the flooring of the cabin. We opted for a click-together laminate vinyl flooring, which is water resistant as well as super durable and was actually really easy to fit. Next we started work fitting our kitchen cabinets. Our friend Johnny from the YouTube channel Little Fix Big Life, who's a carpenter, came to help us cut our kitchen worktop and fit our kitchen sink. If you're looking for another renovation journey to follow, definitely check out their YouTube channel. Next we started work assembling our outdoor compost toilet. We want to start hiring out our sauna for people to come and book to use, so I thought this would be a great addition to the land and will be useful when we host future workshops too. We had our new glamping tent arrive, so we got to work styling it and putting in our new furniture. We started work on our outdoor kitchen area that our guests will use when staying in our glamping tent. This will have a worktop and a stove for food prep, and the washing up facilities will be at our future shipping container shower block. As the tent will only be up during the milder months, we thought an outdoor cooking space would be great. It was time for us to dig a trench for the electric feed into the cabin, and we thought this would be the perfect first task to take on using a mini digger. We've always rented machines with operators, but thought it was time we began to learn a new skill ourselves. Back in the cabin, we were onto the skirting boards, and for this we opted for pre-primed MDF with a very simple profile. With a few coats of eggshell and some cutting, they were ready to be glued and nailed into place. Now the skirting was done, it was time to assemble our bed. We bought an ottoman bed that gave us lots of hidden storage underneath, which is great for our tiny space and keeps everything clutter-free and out of sight. It was nearly time for our plumbing second fix, which meant our boiler being installed. We'll be heating the cabin with LPG gas, which means we need somewhere to store 2 big 47 kilo gas bottles, so we've decided to add on to our existing slab. We made a small wooden frame and mixed up our own concrete, and it surprisingly came out great. We wanted a nice space with a view in the cabin to sit and enjoy food and a drink, and thought a breakfast bar with some stools would be perfect and also not take too much floor space. We decided to build this ourselves from scaffolding timber for a strong and chunky look. We glued together 2 boards and cut them to size before hours of sanding to get a nice smooth finish from the rough sawn timber. We found a nice matte walnut varnish to finish the wood that matched our bed frame perfectly.
So that's the end of our 3rd year on the land, and it's really cool to look at this video that we put together to see how many projects we've managed to fit in this year, because at the end of last year this cabin literally was a concrete slab with a steel chassis on it.
Yeah, it's amazing to think in the last 12 months how the land has gone from just a blank canvas after we cleared all the rubbish to what it is now, where we're sat in a cabin that you built. We've got our office, we've got our sauna, our glamping tent, our solar array, just so many new bits. It's just been a really great year for us. And one thing we're really excited about is we are launching a new YouTube channel called Homestead in the West, and that's going to be really different to Camp Out West, where we're just sharing our DIY and building journey. This is going to be sharing all of my passions that I've wanted to do since we bought the land. So learning to grow our own food, cooking from scratch, willow weaving, beekeeping, sewing, just everything that I love that we weren't able to do when we first bought the land because we didn't have the facilities. So I will put a link in the description if you want to subscribe. The channel is live now, and that's called Homestead in the West.
And then that's the end of today's video. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you up in the next video on our next project.